The following public service program is brought to you by the Metropolitan Library System. And now, Read About It with your host, B.J. Williams.
We have a great show for you today, including a talk with Peggy Perry Anderson about her new book, Chuck's Truck. But first, Phil Talbert will be talking with Doug Benton about some things you can check out at your library.
Phil, thanks for coming back on the show. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
I know you're taking some time off from your regular work here today.
Yes, indeed.
That's always a painful thing to do,
It's
isn't
okay,
it?
though.
Well, you've brought in a book today called Sprinklers and Drip Systems,
Yep.
which I'm guessing is not fiction.
That's correct.
Okay,
That
well,
is
what
correct.
exactly is it then?
This is a book about installing your own sprinkler system or your own drip system for your lawn and care maintenance for your outside, your
Okay,
backyard.
I know what a sprinkler system is. I have no clue what a drip system is.
Well, the difference is the sprinkler systems are generally underground systems that are installed, and then they have the little heads that pop up and they sprinkle the yard and things like that. But the drip systems are usually above ground systems that you can install that allow you to actually focus the water more directly to the plants that you're trying to water, like the root systems and getting the water there, and it probably conserves more water actually than the larger drip sprinkler systems do.
Yeah, I always seem to see a lot of water from sprinkler systems running down beside the curb
And down
in the street. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Well, how is the book arranged? Is it, well, how?
Well, first of all, it does make a distinction between those two systems, and then it talks about the components of them, shows you all the little tools and all the little parts that you have to have in order to make it work effectively. Then it talks about how to plan forward, how to lay out your yard forward, where to put different things. Some of them are drip, some of them are going to go up, and others are going to go down, and things like that, trying to figure out the best ones to go where. How to match the system up with the plants that you've got in your yard, and even offering sometimes, if you need to maybe even transplant some of your plants in order to link things together that need to be watered underground on the root systems as opposed to watering the leaves and things like that. So it goes into those kinds of planning things, and then it goes through the process of how to actually put the things together and how to link the things up with the little containers and how to put it all together and make it work.
Yeah.
Then timers, another aspect of it, how to make those work, and when to water, what time of day, things like that. There are some maps in there, some drawings that they give you to kind of give you an idea of where you might want to place your system and how to put it together. Yeah.
Well, do we have anything else in the library that relates to this kind of
I've
project?
noticed, yes, lots of things on sprinkler systems, doing ponds, landscaping, all those kinds of things. And there are some videos also in the library system. But we have a good collection of materials that you can use to plan your yard and how you want to do it and get it all worked out.
Okay. Thanks, Phil, for coming by. I can always count on you to bring something a little bit out of the ordinary.
You're welcome.
Appreciate that. Thanks.
All right.
With me now is Kelly Rhea from Outreach. And Kelly, I think you're still reading books for Oklahoma Reads Oklahoma.
Yes, I am. There is, this time I was looking at Woody Guthrie, The Life and Times. It's by Ed Cray, and there are a couple of others that are written, but Ed Cray was actually given access to a lot of letters, unpublished songs and poetry, and so he has a little different take. You know, of course, we've all heard about all the information about Woody Guthrie, and we're all familiar with This Land Is Your Land, So Long, It's Been Good to Know You, many wonderful songs of his, but this particular author has really used a lot of that in the text, and it makes it a little easier to read. Some of the reviews have actually said, well, this is more of a spiky read, which I'd never heard that term before, but there are a lot of things in it that, you know, if you came on the scene late, in terms of Woody Guthrie, like I did, I wasn't aware of how radical, you know, he was considered at that time. And of course, you know, the war was going on, and if you weren't patriotic, then you were a communist. So, you know, his outlook was he loved people, and he really sang the poor man's story.
Well, I think he was involved in organizing workers too, which tends to upset some people in this country.
That's right. He was for unions and people organizing for their strength, because he saw how hard they were working and how little they were making, and you know, he really wanted the best for them. And some people thought that he grew up, you know, poor, and that's why his outlook was like that. But he really came from a very middle class family in Okemah. His father worked very hard. His family dealt with Huntington's disease with his mother and her father, and of course Huntington's disease took him over at 42, I think. So it was a difficult life, but he made such a huge impression on the music of the time. And since then, you know, Bob Dylan is one person who's talked about how influential he was, Pete Seeger. So, you know, if you would like to get the nitty-gritty on the man who sang about, you know, the do-re-mi, then I think that you would enjoy reading it.
Well, and we want to remind people to vote. okreadsok.org is where they go to vote to pick one of 6 books that will have the author tour of the state next year, which is always a fun thing. So thanks very much, Kelly.
Thank you.
And coming up next, after we do this library spot, Doug Benton will be telling us what he's been reading about.
Hi, I'm Donna Morris, Executive Director of the Metropolitan Library System. 2007 will mark Oklahoma's centennial year. 100 years is a long time, but public libraries have been part of this community since the very beginning. And we're still exactly the same as we've been all along, your primary source for information and entertainment. The delivery methods are different now than in the early days. Today we provide free wireless access, free internet access, DVDs, CDs, free programming for people of all ages, along with the traditional books, magazines, and newspapers. But what hasn't changed is our dedication to helping you find exactly what you need. Librarians continue to be the guides to the up-to-date world of information, and our librarians at MLS are the best in the business. So visit your neighborhood MLS library soon, and as they say in the world of libraries, come check us out.
Just as I promised, Doug Benton is here.
Promised or threatened?
Well, let's not go into that.
Okay, all right.
Looks like you've been reading again.
Yes, I have a collection of short stories here, and it's kind of unusual in that the stories were all selected by the author from his early work, stories that haven't been reproduced from the old magazines that they originally appeared in. And what's unusual about it is that he admits that some of them are not very good, and he's absolutely correct. The author is Ed McBain, and who died in 2005. He was the author of the 87th Precinct detective series, police procedural series that went on for 50 years, I guess. And he talks about his early years in here, how he wrote stories when he was in World War II, sent them off. None of them were published, and he wondered, how in the world do you break into this racket? So he ended up taking a job with a literary agency, thinking, well, that would get him close to the source. And sure enough, after that point, he began publishing some stories. And he used several pseudonyms because his real name was Salvatore Lambino. And when he finished his first novel in the early 50s, his editor told him, you know, I hate to say this, but you'll sell a lot more copies if you had not quite such an ethnic sounding name. So he picked one of his many pseudonyms, which was Evan Hunter, and published that first book as Evan Hunter, and then by the mid-50s legally changed his name to Evan Hunter. So those folks out there are viewers who knew that Evan Hunter was Ed McBain, and they wondered who this Lambino guy was. Well, that was his original name. The stories are a lot of fun. Most of them are from a digest-sized crime magazine called Manhunt that was popular in the 1950s. Some of the stories are real hard-boiled, tough private eye stories, which you're not familiar with from McBain. And they're not really very good. They sound like parodies of private eye stories. And he's the first to admit it. He says, people say the 87th Precinct books were hard-boiled. He says, they weren't. He says, I consider them bittersweet, kind of romantic and sentimental in some cases. But it's interesting to compare your own opinion of a story with the author's. And the stories are in here in chronological order, so you do see him getting better and better, and you're ready for that breakthrough with the first 87th Precinct novel in 1956, I think. Anyway, the book is called Learning to Kill, and it's really about learning to write. And it's the last collection of short stories by Ed McBain.
Thanks very much, Doug.
You got it.
And you can check this book out at your library. Coming up next, Heidi Johnson will be talking with Kelly Rhea about some books for our very tiniest readers.
Hi, I'm here with Heidi Johnson, and she's from Tech Processing. She's brought some wonderful kids' books today. The first one I think we're going to talk about is Scaredy Squirrel. It's by Melanie Watt. Tell me why you brought this book.
Well, first of all, we all have heard of Scaredy Cat.
Right.
And I said, Scaredy Squirrel? Well, that's different. But it's a wonderful story of a squirrel who lives in his nut tree, and every day is the same because that's safe. He's staying in his tree, he's not venturing outside.
I know just how he feels.
Yeah, we all, I think, know people that do that sometimes, or we have days we don't feel like venturing out. So Scaredy Squirrel, he is prepared for anything that might unexpectedly happen. He has an emergency exit plan, he has an emergency kit.
Which is good to be prepared.
It is good to be prepared, and he knows what he is afraid of, and so he knows ways around that. Well, one day the unexpected does happen, and of course you never can prepare for everything. So the first thing happened is he lost his emergency kit. Yes, and well, I'm not really going to tell you
don't give it all
what
away.
he discovers in the process, but he discovers there is life outside of his nut tree, and it's pretty good every once in a while to see something different.
So he becomes not as afraid of the unknown,
That's
to take
right.
an adventure.
Because he's realizing sometimes the unknown can turn out to be pretty neat.
Oh, that's wonderful. Scaredy Squirrel. I can't wait to read it myself. Now, the second book you brought is called Please Play Safe, and it's by Marjorie Kyler.
Kyler, Seiler, don't really know how she pronounces her name, but I think it's a very important book, especially in the summertime when so many children in the playgrounds. And it's really a book about safety on the playgrounds and about how to make friends, how to keep friends, treating them right. And it talks about, well, should you go up the slide while one of your friends is sliding down the slide? No, that's not the proper thing to do. Wait until your turn comes around.
I see.
And it also talks about swinging from swings and playing with playground
So
equipment.
it's kind of playground manners.
Playground manners, yes. And has very important safety lessons in there, and also helps you to keep your friends if you treat them right.
Oh, I think that's a wonderful book. I know that even older kids would appreciate it. It's called Please Play Safe, Marjorie Kyler, and of course, Scaredy Squirrel. Thank you so much, Heidi.
You're
You
welcome.
can find both of these books at your favorite bookstore or at your local library.
Every year we have teens volunteer for our big summer reading program, and I asked some of them if they would be willing to talk about books they've been reading in between volunteer stints. Today, Heidi Port will be talking with teen volunteer Joy James.
So Joy, tell me a little bit about what this book is about.
Well, it starts off kind of describing hobbits and the way they live. Then it goes on to tell the adventures that Bilbo Baggins has.
So he's kind of the central character of this
Yes.
book. And I have seen the movies, you know, the Lord of the Rings
Yes, those are
movies, and so
great.
I was really excited to read this book because it's kind of a precursor.
Yeah, my dad read The Lord of the Rings and this when I was like 10 years old. So
Really?
yeah, so at nighttime, I kind of grew up on these. These are great. So
So that you had read them previously, but then you decided to read them again on your own?
Yeah.
So what kinds of things did you notice this time as you're reading it yourself?
it's just more interesting. I mean, you can understand more about it. I mean, it's like you understand like the poems and stuff that are in there.
Very good. So what age group would you recommend this book for?
I know kids that their mom made them read the books before before they watch the movie, and they're like 10 years old. So, and then I have a copy that my dad read in college of The Hobbit.
So how old were you when he read them to you?
8 or 10. Yeah, it was cool.
So what kinds of, I noticed as I was reading it that it kind of filled in a lot of the gaps of The Lord of the Rings. Did you notice that at all?
Yes, that's true about Smeagol and
Yes.
everything.
Yes. And tell me a little bit about what was your favorite part of the book as far as?
I really enjoyed where Smeagol and Bilbo start the riddle game. Because, I mean, the riddles are just amazing. I don't know where he got them or if he thought them up or whatever, but they're cool. I mean, that's cool.
Did you get to answer any of them before you read the answers to them, or you didn't?
No, pretty much stumped me on everything.
Did they?
Yeah.
So do you feel like that someone who has read The Lord of the Rings previously would enjoy reading this also, or do you think you should start with The Hobbit and then read The Lord of the Rings?
Probably start with The Hobbit because everything makes a lot more sense, like how Bilbo got the ring and everything, and where Gandalf comes into the picture.
And I found this book to be a lot easier to read than The Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
And maybe it was because I knew the characters because I'd already read The Lord of the Rings. But
yeah, I get what you're saying on that. Cause I think he words it differently.
So you would definitely recommend this to teens, to children,
yes.
to
It's a very cool
adults?
book. I love this book.
Oh, very good. Well, thank you so much for bringing it to us, and we appreciate it very much, Joy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Peggy Perry Anderson has been on Read About It before with a book, and today she's talking about Chuck's Truck. And the book that I first talked with you about was We Go Round in a Circle, which was about a horse.
Yes, and a therapy ranch.
This is still got animals in it, but it's a slightly different take on things. So what gave you the idea to write about Chuck's Truck?
Well, if you read the dedication, it's dedicated to my uncle, and he had this old blue pickup truck. And when we were teenagers, my cousins and I would go to the Sonic in the old blue pickup truck, think that was so cool. Well, I loved animals, and I was, when I became college age, I began to start writing for children's books. That was my goal. I wanted to be a children's book writer and illustrator. So I thought about that old blue truck and came up with these characters, and that was way back in college. Well, I sent that off to many publishers and got rejected. So I stuck it in the back of my closet, and now after all these years, when my publisher said, let's do something a little different, I said, I think I've got one that'll work. And I pulled it out, rewrote it, and tried something different with my medium, and it worked.
Now, there's something different with your medium. You were talking about what fun it was to go shopping for the materials you used for this.
Well, having been an art teacher in the elementary school for a little while, we have a crayon resist method that we'd use. You'd color with the crayons, but you wouldn't color in your pencil lines, and then you'd go over it with watercolor, and it would seep into the pencil lines and then kind of bubble up on the crayon. And that is what I decided to use for this book. I experimented with a bunch of different things, but it was so much fun because I got to buy the 96 box of crayons like you always wanted to as a kid, and maybe even several times because I used up several crayons.
Right. Well, these were, I remember when I was first looking at this, that these had a really wonderful texture to them.
Well, and that's the technique, because you've got the roughness of the crayon, and then when you paint that blue watercolor on there, it seeps into all the lines, and then it kind of bubbles up, and it unifies it with a little bit of texture. I did use a little bit of acrylic paint on the grass and the sky, so that they were less texturized, so that it would make the focus be on the animals and the characters.
Mm-hmm. Well, it has a really almost a luminous quality to it.
Those crayons you have to color really hard. That's what I tell my students, make that color shine. And that's what I did with this. So it was very therapeutic,
Now, Chuck is obviously a farmer who goes to town, but he has to pick everybody up.
This is a book about friendship, and suddenly when Chuck decides to go to town, everybody else decides, oh, well, I want to go to town too, and this is what happens when they all get into this old truck. And the truck just can't handle the load, And needless to say, it breaks down, so poor Chuck, you know, they have to get it towed back home, and he is just heartbroken. And this is about what his friends do for him.
Now, when you are thinking about a book, do you think words, or do you get an image and say, I've got to do a story?
Well, being an artist first, I usually come up with the characters, and then as I draw my characters and sketch them and draw them doing different things, that is usually when I come up with my ideas. I knew I wanted to do something about an old truck and a farmer, but it wasn't until after I started drawing my characters that I began to think how the story would go.
Oh, that's really interesting, because I think most of us think about, we start with the first sentence and maybe the last sentence and fill in, but you're kind of sitting and playing at your art table there when you come up with these ideas.
Or on napkins in restaurants.
Oh, okay. Now, Chuck collects a tremendous number of animals there. I didn't realize that farms had quite that spread of animals.
Well, nowadays they may not, but...
Because you start out with a duck, and you have dogs and horses and donkeys and cats, just about everything. And this is a lovely little town that you visit. I think it's Veneta, isn't it?
Well, that's where my uncle and aunt lived. My cousins grew up. My grandparents were from there. So I was constantly, we were going up to Veneta. And my grandparents didn't live on a farm or anything like that, but you know, it's just an old familiar town, and that's why I tried to do that. Yeah. I'll tell you a secret too about the page that you're opening up. Were you going to point it out?
No, I'll let you do that.
Well, Brandon is my son, Ariel is my daughter, and Haley is my other daughter.
Oh, okay. So now when we read the book, we can be in on the secret.
Yeah.
Well, frankly, I would not have noticed that it was Veneta if you hadn't put that on the water tower.
Right.
So, but it did look like a very typical small town with shops that are not part of the Universal franchise sort of thing. So that had a really great feel to it. Now, do you have another book coming out?
In the spring, I have another Joe the Frog book coming out called Joe on the Go. And it's about he and a family reunion. And then I just talked to my publisher last week, and they want to do another Chuck book, and it's going to be Chuck's Band. And that won't be coming out until 2008. It's not even done yet.
Okay, but you've actually already done the Joe's Frog book.
Yes, and it'll be out spring of 2007.
Well, I hope that you come back then, and maybe next time, do you have the originals from your work?
Well, actually, I have from past books, but right now I don't have Chuck's. They keep them for a certain amount of time, and then before they send them back. And so I don't have an original of that, but maybe I can bring some of my other work.
Because I find it really fascinating the way illustrators have to work. They sort of have to know what the size of the book is going to be, and from that I understand they judge how large the original is going to be.
They can actually make it larger and reduce it, but you have to keep everything in proportion. I work same size as the book is going to be.
Okay.
But like for small books, you know, you can make them larger, and they can when they take the picture, and they can shrink them down as long as you're in proportion.
Well, I find that very interesting to compare the original to the printed book.
Well, I'll see what I can do about bringing some samples.
Okay. Well, it looks to me like the colors, of course, I'm remembering from way back when I had my 94 crayons, but it looks like they've done a pretty good job of staying with the original colors that you use.
Yes, yes.
And so this is a great book, and I want to remind everybody you can find Chuck's Truck, and there's another Joe book out there, and we go round in a circle. Do I have that title correct?
We go in a circle.
We go in a circle. You can find all of these books at your library and at your favorite bookstore. Peggy Perry Anderson has been telling us about Chuck's Truck.
Hi, I'm Donna Morris, Executive Director of the Metropolitan Library System. 2007 will mark Oklahoma's centennial year. 100 years is a long time, but public libraries have been part of this community since the very beginning. And we're still exactly the same as we've been all along, your primary source for information and entertainment. The delivery methods are different now than in the early days. Today we provide free wireless access, free internet access, DVDs, CDs, free programming for people of all ages, along with the traditional books, magazines, and newspapers. But what hasn't changed is our dedication to helping you find exactly what you need. Librarians continue to be the guides to the up-to-date world of information, and our librarians at MLS are the best in the business. So visit your neighborhood MLS library soon, and as they say in the world of libraries, come check us out.
Doug Benton is back, and that means it must be Writer's Almanac time. You are clutching big stacks of paper in your hand.
Well, actually, only one here counts. Yeah, we're taping this in Halloween week, so I concentrated this week just on people who had birthdays or death dates on Halloween. And there are a bunch of people. In 1912, Dale Evans was born on Halloween Day, and she actually wrote some books, so we can squeeze that in there. In 1920, Dick Francis, the former jockey who became a mystery writer. 1931, Dan Rather. In 1944, the man I hope becomes the next governor of Texas, mystery writer Kinky Friedman, was born on Halloween, as was comedian John Candy in 1950. People who died on Halloween in 1926, Harry Houdini. That seems very appropriate somehow. Indira Gandhi in 1984 was killed on Halloween Day. In 1993, the great Italian film director Federico Fellini died on Halloween Day. In Hollywood, the same day, River Phoenix was dying of a drug overdose in front of a club in Hollywood.
Good.
So we got a bunch of folks.
Yeah. Well, we've got a few things that you left out, not birth and death dates, but on October 30th in 1938, a gentleman who later became famous in films put on a radio program. Orson Welles' War of the Worlds apparently scared the living daylights out of everybody in America. On October 31st in 1517, a Catholic priest nailed a piece of paper up to the Württemberg cathedral doors. Martin Luther, with his 95 Theses, who sparked a little bit of a revolution there,
right,
and led to a certain amount of Protestantism in the world. On November 1st in 79 A.D., Vesuvius erupted and consequently covered up Pompeii and Herculaneum, which, much to the delight of archaeologists of the 21st century. 1765 was the Stamp Act, which led to a little hoo-ha here in this country a few years later. On November the 2nd in 1048, the Pope declared All Saints' Day, which is what has led to Halloween later on. And in 1922, on the 4th, Howard Carter opened a small tomb in Egypt that had a lot of really interesting things in it. In fact, part of it's touring the country right now.
Right, absolutely.
You can find out about everything we've been talking about today and a great deal more at your favorite library. You can check us out on the web, www.metrolibrary.org. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you again next time.